It worked. Hey, everybody.
It does work.
This morning it didn't work the way I wanted it to, and I had to change my phone and all the stuff, and it was crazy. Okay, so I'm going to be loud, and I'm sorry. It's obnoxious, but whatever it is.
That's what we pay for.
No, I do not want to tag Sterling Wayne Wyatt in this video, because that is not Sterling. That is Todd.
He'll buzz in sometime during this episode.
So, what are we talking about?
Well, first we wanted to talk about, let's introduce ourselves first, and then we'll go into the other
Good job, baby. Good job.
I always forget. I'm Todd, and that's Michelle, and we're here to talk about what really matters. And before we get into our topic tonight, we'll at least let that come out, is being intentional. Be intentional in your marriage and in everything that you do.
And for whoever's watching, because it does show people watching, let us know if the music's louder than us, because we don't know, because we haven't been on live without it.
We try new things each week, so
right.
Let us know. So, before we go into all that, Michelle wanted to talk a little bit about a new venture that we were looking at this week that came to us that we thought we'd be interested in, and we thought you'd be interested in as well. And that has to do with something that our church is involved in our Nigerian ministry. And it happens to be an orphanage for a lot of these little babies that are over there. And I'll let her talk about it because I know this is near and dear to her heart.
Oh, I would adopt babies, but he won't let me. So, we are going to get into being intentional. But I wanted to just kind of give everybody a minute to get on here. When you get on, right, just say hello, tell us where you're from, talk to us, comment throughout. So, we do a lot of missions work at our church, and we've gone to Nigeria like 16 times in the last, or maybe 18 times in the last 15 years or something like that. We've been to the Philippines. But what they learned last year is that there's a lot of babies that are being sold for $50 or $100 over there. The families don't have the money for them or whatever. Maybe they're having the babies to sell for money. I don't know. But it's a really sad situation.
Doesn't change the tragedy.
The babies are being sold probably into the sex trade, slavery stuff, and being prepped for that. And others are being used for human sacrifices. For like probably demonic Satan worship type stuff. I don't know. But it's really, really sad. So our church is going to build an orphanage to help as many kids as we can that's over there.
Right.
For the next year, we are raising $70,000, which is really not that much because it's going to build like 5 or 6 houses. And then it'll pay for people to take in these orphans, and it's not going to really change everything for all of those kids, but it's something to get started with.
Right.
And so our church is thearkfellowship.org, and I will put them in here. So if you decide that you want to help out, you can contact the church directly and
at least check
donate.
It out for more information.
It would be, it's a charity donation, so you'll get a tax deductible, whatever. So anyway, we want to start promoting that as well.
Right.
And they're selling some t-shirts and bumper stickers and stuff also to raise funds. Right. So anyway, now it's time for us. Thank y'all for listening.
We're just trying to be intentional about the things that we support, and this is one of those things that we intend to support. And
those poor babies don't have a way to defend themselves at all. So
there's a lot of terrible influences over there, but we can make a difference
together. Okay, so let's get on with
being intentional.
Being intentional. Do you know what that means? Because we're about to learn.
We all think we do. At least I was intending to learn about it, but I don't know.
Ha ha ha. So funny.
Your marriage can be fixed, but you have to want it to be fixed, and you have to be willing to fight for it.
Right, and some of the topics we're talking about can be applied to other relationships, because being an intentional can be with parents and kids, it can be with coworkers, employers,
right?
Any of those. So this is not just a topic for
family,
marriage,
friends,
although
jobs,
we're
everything.
talking for it. And it doesn't mean that you have a problem marriage. This keeps you from having a problem marriage.
Right.
That's why we're talking about it.
Well,
because it
what did we
helps.
talk about last week? What was it?
Last week was boundaries, which that's one of our things in here too, just a little bit, because I did a big one last week. My daughter was like, what? Mom, you told everything. And I did.
It was a tell-all.
It was a tell-all. Y'all go back and watch it if you didn't see it, because, man, I had to.
She got real excited in that one. It's very close to a lot of things that we're doing right now, so we were very intentional in many of the things that we did in that video. But I brought it up because after we defined what the borders were, that we have established and amongst ourselves and with other people, then we had to be intentional about how to carry those things out.
Jumping way ahead. That's on another page. But anyway.
I like to jump ahead. Just give them a preview.
He does. So.
All right. Well, regardless of the state of your marriage, there's one rule of thumb that always applies.
And?
You don't know what that is?
Well, sure.
If you want to improve your marriage, you have to be seriously intentional about it.
Seriously. That's a word I use all the freaking time. Oh, all the time.
That was unintentional.
Unintentionally using the word freaking. But seriously is a word I use a lot. Seriously?
You know, even when your marriage is good.
Right.
You still want it to get better.
Always.
And you get it better by paying attention to some details. Good things, bad things as well. I mean, you're intentionally increasing the things you like and trying to decrease the things that are causing some problems.
Right.
Seriousness is about effort. You've got to want to make that a top priority in your life after God. I mean,
God's always our top priority.
Right.
We always going to have God is our top priority, and then we're going to go on to your spouse should be your next priority, and that's what the seriousness is about.
Right. Being serious about putting your spouse.
And you're not serious about putting your spouse first or fixing your marriage if you decide you're going to get separated and live apart and just let them take care of the kids while you're gone.
Yeah.
That's not a seriousness. But anyway,
that's kind of part of what sparked this was a conversation we had with somebody the other day, and it's hard to fix things when you're not together.
Right. Well, what does the Bible say about anything that we do that we bear fruit, right? So your relationship, your marriage, it's going to show. People are going to be able to tell whether you put on a good show in public or not. It's really kind of hard to hide if you're not really being serious about your relationship. So it's going to bear the fruit of your efforts and seriousness. So let's go into what's the next step, because there's a few things we want to get into. We're just telling you.
We're backwards on the thing, but anyway.
Oh, I didn't do the thing where the words are different. I'm sorry.
We had a technical difficulty before we started, so we forgot to flip the video. That wasn't intentional. See, you got to pay attention to the details.
I was so set on everything else, and we didn't get it where the words were. Y'all could read them. I'm sorry.
I knew they would notice.
They're too small anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Anyway, intentional is similar, but it's based more in action. It's an action-motivated thing, not just that you're committed to it and that you establish it as a hierarchy. You've actually got to do something about it, and that's where the intentional is.
It's a verb.
It's not just an attitude.
It's an action word.
Yeah.
Kind of like love is an action word. It's not just. We're on the next page.
Yeah. Well,
okay, I am.
You're half on and half off because there you
go. I've moved on. So, you've got to be serious. You've got to be intentional. So, of course, praying. I mean, we've already talked about God being first. So, praying with your spouse over your marriage and then taking the action towards the plans, which this is where we're about to get serious with what are the things that you can do that are intentional with our lighting is. So that way you can get... these are tips and tricks we've learned along the way. They either didn't work or they worked. So when y'all come on, I want y'all to tell me who you are, tell me where you're from, say hello, let me know you're watching, and share the video, invite your friends, okay? So we're talking about being intentional in your marriage. It can apply to anything, and
it can
apply to any relationship. You got to be intentional with it. So marriages happen, but great marriages take time. People can get married and actually not even have a relationship. They're off doing their own things, and they're married, but they never talk. They never have a relationship. Hey, Courtney. And the biggest thing is you can still fight for your marriage with what we're talking about every time we get on here, even if you're the only one really fighting, and the other one will eventually fight with you. But God is the one who's going to win this battle. So you just take it to Him first. But it's a lot easier if you can get both parties on board. But if you can't,
that is true.
Stick to your guns, baby. You can do it.
We do that a lot. There's times when I'm not on board with something, and she sticks to it. And
like my video this morning, I go above his head. I just pray because I know if he's not where he's supposed to be, God will either tell me I'm wrong, which has happened, or he'll talk to him and he talks to him, and I just don't have to do anything. So that's where your prayer comes in,
right?
And you just go above his head. So we are now talking about.
We're asking, are you intentional in your marriage? And
do you have a plan?
Do you have a plan? And then you act out the plan. You got to do the plan. So
winging it in your relationship. Shooting from the hip, just seeing if this is going to work. We did that for a few years. That kind of
when you're first together and you're trying to figure it all out, you kind of do that. But as you narrow in, you find more intimacy by taking the time to know the other person and learn about that person, and then how the two of you connect.
Okay.
Other than that, you're kind of still in the dating.
So we have, I don't know, we've got 5, 7, 9, 10 little things we're going to tell you about right now. That's what we're going to start now. So what's our first one, Mr. Hot Toddy?
Which we've already kind of said. Make your spouse the priority.
If you don't make your spouse the priority, God's first, and then your spouse, even above your children, which we've talked about almost every time.
That's always going to be the case.
And you're going to notice that some of these are topics we've already talked about, because that's part of being intentional,
right? And
that some of these deserved their own little, episode. So,
absolutely.
Being the priority. Here's a big one. I forgot. I'm getting excited about this one. You want to know why? Because nobody wants to talk about it. And I'm just going to talk about it because it needs to be said. Don't you agree?
Yeah. I know what you're about to say, but they don't.
You need to foster romance daily. That means saying sweet nothings, sending the text messages, whatever you want to do with your spouse, not to other people. But the sexual intimacy for a husband and wife is huge. It's huge. And the problem, especially with today's society, is we get so busy doing so many things. People are tired. They get headaches. They've got, excuse after excuse with why they are not going to take the time to be with their spouse. And of course, the Bible says your body belongs to your spouse, so you're supposed to give it up anyway. But I don't mean it like, attacking or anything. I just mean,
I kind of had Vinnie Barbarino in my head there.
I don't mean it like that. But I just do mean it's a huge thing, and I think that people don't realize that even when you're not necessarily happy with each other, but you keep that part alive, it really helps to bring together, because for the woman it's an emotional bond, and for the man it is not. But it really helps the marriage. So that means
I can make you as mad as I want, and I never have to worry about you weaponizing sex.
I won't. No, I don't think any woman should, or any man. So you need to learn to make the sexual intimacy with your spouse a priority. Even schedule time. Make it a date. I mean, we got into a routine. I'm not telling you details for now, but when we had teenagers, Saturday mornings when they left to go do their things, we would have, Saturday morning, that would be it. So we would schedule a time, because when you've got teenagers in the house, when are you going to do anything? So I'm just telling y'all, with babies, with whatever, y'all make the time. Okay. That's my soapbox. Make the time.
That's as uncomfortable as you're going to make me. All right.
Did that make you uncomfortable?
No.
Okay, because it's important.
It is important.
Okay.
Talk about it.
So, what's our next topic?
You got to love your spouse in their love language. Not mine.
Right.
Yours.
Yeah.
most people get that all, they forget, and they start doing what they like for the other person, and it probably doesn't work too well, because my love language, now there's 5 of them. You want to tell them what they are?
Well, we've got an episode on that. We've already
do?
done, because it's huge. This was the biggest thing that helped our relationship.
It was.
You need to be intentional thinking about what your spouse needs in his love or her love language. So there's acts of service, quality time. Those 2 are his. Mine's words of affirmation and physical touch, and those are my 2. And then there's receiving gifts. Now, technically, you're going to have all 5, and I'm not going to go into all this right now because we've got another episode on it.
Oh, it's a good one, too.
But it was a fun one.
It's fun.
We are cutting up through that one. So his is acts of service and quality time. So for me, I do things like, what did I do for you this morning? Acts of service.
You made me an awesome Frappuccino.
I made coffee. I made coffee last night and put it in the refrigerator because he loves Frappuccinos. Mm-hmm. And since we've started keto, he needs one that's going to be keto friendly.
I did.
So I made one this morning, and since he liked it, I'll probably do it every day.
Right. Just don't tell me what you put in it. It's good.
And quality time is his, and we're together all the time, so that one's covered. But the thing is, you're going to use your own on whoever you're talking to. Like mine's words of affirmation, so I'm constantly telling him words.
He's very
which
comfortable with it.
Doesn't mean anything to him.
It means something to me, but nothing like a good act of service, I think.
Let's go on to our next intention. What are we supposed to be intentional with the next part?
Forgiving every day.
Yes.
And that means all the little stuff, big stuff, everything. But especially all the little things that people tend to let harbor and carry over.
Right. Well, like today, we were talking about, okay, so when you first get married and there's a bunch of stupid stuff that the husband says to the wife because he doesn't know any better, because the wife doesn't usually forget, right, baby?
They have big handbags of life.
And so now, most of the time we're using these in funnies because it is kind of funny that he said some of these things. And it doesn't really bother me anymore. But it did a long time ago. So today, while we were having lunch and going over this, I was like, I'm always talking about the things that you said to me that were always the nasty, negative stuff. Well, maybe not nasty, but just, negative, or I took the wrong way or whatever, because he didn't think about what he was saying. And so today, I said, there's a good one that I remember from before we were ever married, like in our first 2 or 3 months, because we got married 6 months after we met. So, but it was early on. And he's like, oh, well, gee, thanks. You're going to wait 30 years to tell me that, but you've been bringing up the negatives.
Better late than never.
Stop bringing up the negatives, ladies. That's not a good one. So forgive, and don't sweat the small stuff, because the small stuff is what?
Almost everything I do for you on a daily basis. I'm glad she lets all of it fly down, because I'm constantly poking and prodding and picking. And
well, I'd have to say the last couple of weeks, or days, not weeks, a couple of days has been a little rough on me. Even going to the doctor yesterday, he was just coming at me, and she's like, I'm gonna back it up because she's gonna take you out. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny.
And he's laughing the whole time, and I'm just like, I'm so done with you right now.
She was sick. Come on, give her a break.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going on to the next one, number 5.
Compliments.
And I can do this because I'm a words of affirmation person. So I can just tell you all day long how amazing you are and how wonderful you are, and I can find all the good things about you because it means something to me. But if you're not a words of affirmation person and he's not, it doesn't
come
anything.
Natural. If you want compliment from me, you have to wait for your annual review or something.
Right.
I don't know. Then I actually think about it. But on a daily basis, I guess it means I tend to take advantage of the relationship in that regards. She says a lot of it to me, and I'm always full, so...
He does it when I ask him to, and, there's times I want it more than that, but he's working on it.
It is a work in progress.
Well, because it's actions. It takes action.
Well, that's kind of the good point.
And being intentional.
It's not always natural. I mean, you have to work for it, and that sounds silly, but it's hard for me to give compliments, but it doesn't even enter my head, so I have to slowly develop that muscle in my head to squeeze that out, to make sure that I get things thought out and thought in the proper order.
Well, so we're talking about, we've got new people coming on all the time. Names are flying by. So come in and tell me hello. Tell me where you're from. Yeah. We are talking about being intentional in your relationship. And I don't care if it's your marriage or if it's parental and, parents, kids. Yeah, relationships you've got to be intentional and work at.
Family, public, work, whatever.
So we've gone over a few things, and this will be saved so you can watch it later if you're just now joining us. So under the giving a compliment, though, one of the things, we talk about always telling your spouse, you love them. We say I love you pretty regular.
I do love you.
And I do love you. And we find that very easy to say. And
we say it all the time.
And we do say it all the time, daily, several times a day, actually, most of the time. But why do you love them?
Oh.
That's a big deal. And men don't get it, but women do. Women need to know why, especially if your words of affirmation. Why do you love me? And I'll ask him that. Do you love me? Because I need to know why you love me. And he's like, oh my heavens, stop it. And I'm like, but I need to know. And I do. And the funny thing is, I probably already know the answer because it's the same answer. But, the first one is because I do everything for him. So that's easy. Well, of course I love you because you don't make me do anything. I do it all. You do it all for me. So
that's under the acts of service. It is.
But everything, ladies. I mean, I'm just saying. Okay, so what's our next one?
Being grateful.
Yes. You thanked me this morning after you went over this.
Oh, I'm always grateful. I just don't tell you at the time.
No.
And if you stop and ask me, I'll tell you all the things that I'm grateful for. Oftentimes I think about it. The few seconds we're not together, I actually do think about it.
But you never tell me.
But I don't ever tell you because when we come back together. Now, when we're apart, it's only like 35, 40 feet. But around a corner. Other than that, we're in the same vehicle, same room, same house, same office, same grocery store, same cart.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
24/7. So, except when I go out on my girls' nights, which I like to do.
I keep telling her, spend more time, take your time.
I have one friend, we're not out very late because we're ready for bed by 8:30 or 9 o'clock. So our girls' night out's really early.
2 hours, 2.5 is the most, but that's all right.
Being grateful, thank your spouse for what they do. Thank you for being such a good provider and a hard worker and helping me around the house, like cleaning out the garage and...
I don't do that much, but I do try on those small things. I do let her know things I would just don't ever want to do. Sometimes those are necessary too, but I am thankful. Like everything that you have that does anything with this program is all her, 99.9%. I just show up and she said before we turned it on, plop myself in a chair and here we go.
I have been doing this for 2 hours since I got home from work. He edits the day of. He edits what I've typed up, and then I get it together. And then I'm in here. We get home. I do dinner. He did dishes tonight. They're in the sink. He didn't do dishes.
Technically, it's Weston's night, so I was just kind of helping him out. See?
It's never Weston's night. Okay,
I'm here to tell you, there's a cheese spoon in there that
realize their efforts and show them that you appreciate them. Appreciate your spouse. Be intentional about it. Realize they work hard for you and your family. Whether it's moms at home, whether they're both working. They're both putting forth an effort into the same with your kids. When your kids are helping and doing chores, what my daughter told me when she was a teenager, because I have a problem with cleaning house, which we've discussed on here a few times. I need it clean when I clean it. So if I was gone and I came home and they cleaned for me, I would always find, the one thing or whatever that wasn't done. And so she's like, Mom, we're never going to clean again if you just keep finding the bad stuff, which is true. So I worked really hard at not doing that. So realize the efforts that somebody has put in. It may not look like what you thought it was going to do. It may not be as clean or, maybe it wasn't folded right, but who cares? Just let it go. My kids are going to be rolling in the floor right now that I'm saying this because, man, did it take me some time to get this one down. So anyway, next one is, so there's new people coming on. We're talking being intentional. Y'all say hello. Give me your names, where you're from.
I need to be more intentional about redlining and reviewing our program.
Because?
More than the day of.
Yeah, because it sure would help me.
They're supposed to be done a week in advance. I'm behind our schedule.
I make the videos. Yep. I do everything. And y'all, I don't know if you can hear the music or not, but that's my boys playing from a few years ago. And I found out how I could put it in our videos. I love listening to my babies play.
Yeah.
There's one little faux pas they have in here because, well, they were just winging it one day for me. Anyway, number 7. What are we supposed to do? What are you intentionally supposed to do with your spouse? Now, we've already talked about.
I hope you're my best friend.
I am. And you're mine.
I know. Makes it easy.
Right. So.
And what do best friends do?
Well, we talk. Share. Yeah.
Do things together.
We talk daily. Some best friends don't talk every day. But.
Good friends do.
Yeah, so the thing is, we're together 24/7, which we've brought up a lot, but we still talk at the end of the day. It's like, what did you do at work? Even though we work together, we already know what somebody's done. But we still chat it out coming home. We talk about whatever we watched on TV. We talk about, which I'm not a big TV person, but we talk about what's in the news, and we both get our news from different areas. So sometimes I'll bring up a topic coming home going, did you see this? He may have already seen it because, different news outlets gets different things at different times. And so, but we make sure we talk, but we have fun. We do a lot of fun things together. And that's the big deal.
Believe it or not, we do.
We do have fun together. We go shooting. We go top golfing. We go antiquing.
I like that.
He loves news and politics and watching TV. Those are his things to relax. Mine's crocheting and video games.
You can take me back to Gonzales.
And he hates video games. We've been traveling some.
It'd be fun to do. Go to Gonzales and go to the Christmas.
Yes. But I don't think we have time this year.
I know. That's awesome.
So you're going to have things that you're going to do on your own. I go to a girls' nights a few times, and when I do, I tell him to take out his friend. His friend is our son, because he doesn't want friends. So he takes out our son, and they have a guys' night out when I have my girls' night out.
They do, yeah. And we'll watch a show together.
And
it's like, let's watch a show that
they have
Mom
TV
wouldn't
shows
watch,
that I don't want to watch.
Goofy that.
Yeah, I don't want to watch The Walking Dead, and I know there's a lot of women who do, but I don't. I don't like the sounds. More than it's not what I'm watching, it's the sound.
You don't understand, there's only 2 episodes left before Rick is gone.
Anyway, so they watch that. So you're gonna find stuff that you do together and find things that you do apart. Make your hobbies. Number 8, we're almost done. Affair-proof your marriage, which we talked about.
That's under the boundaries.
That's under the boundaries. We did that video last week.
That's a very intentional thing in your marriage. If you do
and
nothing
watch
else,
out, because once you set up boundaries, there's people who still try to come in. They're trespassers. You got to be really careful. So we're not going to go get back into that one because that was last time's, and it was a really big deal. It was kind of emotional for me. So y'all go watch that one. But affair-proof your marriage. Pray if you think there's something going on. Pray for your spouse so that their eyes are open to what's happening, because they may not realize it, and it's probably not intentional. Now, I'm not talking about on those parts, somebody sleeping around, because that.
Right.
Most of the time those are intentional. Not always, but most of the time.
Direct violation of many things.
Right. Okay, so what's our next one?
Give a little.
Give.
I'm
supposed to give to you.
Give.
So we're supposed to give to each other. And here's the thing. Okay, he doesn't like doing anything at the house. Nothing. So I do most of the housework. Not anymore. I hired somebody. And the laundry and the yard, we hired somebody for that too. And, so now it's just down to cooking and doing the dishes each night. Well, there for a while, he cooked all the time. So he's pretty much like, I'll help cook and I'll help do the dishes, but I don't want to do anything else. And at the time when he said that, it was because he was working and I was the one that was at home. Yeah. So I agreed to that because we worked out our own little battles there. You know what I mean? And so but now that I'm working full time, we've hired someone.
It was tough, 50 hours at one job.
Oh, let me tell you,
30 hours on the other.
This girl is amazing.
Oh, she's in love.
I love her dearly.
Don't tell anybody who she is because they might take all of her time away.
No, they won't either. But if you want somebody, just tell me because I'll give you her number.
Yeah.
So now he chooses. But
you got to text us in order for us to tell you.
He chooses what he wants to do to help out. I pretty much just do whatever he wants. Y'all know if you've watched any of these episodes. I put him first to a fault. So I do everything for him.
Yeah.
When you're giving, you need to share intimate thoughts. And the funny thing is, because I was thinking about this today when we were working on this, because you really should be sharing your deepest, darkest stuff with each other, and some people don't. And on the Sheldon episode, where they were getting the Sheldon show. That's my show. The Big Bang Theory, before he married, what's-her-face? Amy, he said to her there was one, he had all these little circles that he drew out on the board, and there was one spot, and it was for like his deepest, darkest that he didn't tell anybody. And I thought, well, if you can't tell your spouse that, and so she's like, I want an example, and he did, and they got in a fight or whatever, so that's why you don't. But the reality is you really should share the deep stuff because over the years, what's helped me build confidence for me is him sharing some of the deep stuff. Now, he knew when there was obviously times, especially when, again, we've talked about this part as well. I had some issues younger days, and he knew there was times when to bring up something and when not to. So you still bring it up, but since we've started starting in San Antonio, really, we started spending a lot of times talking, like where we sat up all night in bed and talked, and I was just like, oh my Lord, we haven't done this since we dated.
Yeah. It was totally natural. You're like, oh, it's 3 o'clock. What in the world?
But and we talk all the time. I'm talking about with some serious topics where we were talking about to each other. So you're going to share those intimate, deep thoughts. Don't hold off on those now. You want to make sure that the other person's ready for it. But here's the big one. What is it? What is this one? This one. Because this one, I'm going to tell you, ladies, get this one. What is that one? You read it. That one. You read it. You pay attention. You pay attention, mister.
It says, be there, listen, actively listen so you, hear your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Who drinks a drink on?
My throat is so bad.
She's having a hard time. She's fighting a lot right now, so. She claims I don't hear her.
Okay. He ignores me when he hears me. So I used to tell him things like, I feel like I'm at the bottom of a well and nobody hears me. Not you, not the boys. My daughter had already moved out because she's so much older than the boys. She was all I had that listened to me, that I felt like anyway. And so it was just crazy. But yeah, listen, but actively listen and be intentional with your listening.
I did. I sent you the bucket with a rope tied to it. You never climbed out.
Yeah. Okay, number 10. This is it. This is our last one. This is the last one. If you're just coming on, we've been talking about being intentional in your relationship. Hey, Robin. We've been talking about being intentional, and it doesn't, again, have to apply just to your marriage, although, that's what we're talking about. But most of this can be applied to any relationship that you have. And there's about 10 things. We're on number 10 now. Say hello. Let me know you're here. And, we'll end it with this other thing as well. So what's number 10, mister?
Cultivate daily sweet little rituals.
Right. You know what's important is to know, we talked earlier about making sure you say I love you to your spouse each day. whether it's your child, your spouse, you may not want to tell your coworker you love them every day, just saying. But, be nice to them. So, saying I love you, we both are really good at doing that. And if he doesn't say it, then I'm kind of like, there's something wrong. He also...
Well, and for those of you out there that are not natural at it, when I first met you, my family doesn't say it. My sister still can't say it.
Hey, Nancy!
So, we repeated it. We tried. We intentionally worked on making sure that is applied in our lives.
At the beginning, I said I love you all the time, and he never said it because he wasn't used to it. But he did, and now of course he says it all the time. He makes sure, rituals. He holds my hand whenever we're walking.
About it all the time.
We do. People compliment us. So but you know what? It makes a big difference to me because when he reaches back there to hold my hand and take my hand like this, and he's intentionally, we're walking and usually it's this hand, and he reaches back and gets my hand, and then it makes me feel, loved and touched. Hey, Megan. Hey, Darrell. Hey, y'all all get on here. Tell me hello. Tell me where you're from. We're talking about being intentional in your relationship. Now, we are at number 10, which we're going to finish talking. Well, thank you, Becca. I appreciate it. I can't read everything that you said, but I can see a lot of it, and I appreciate that. Our whole point is to share and be vulnerable and talk about the good and the bad so that, people can learn, because there's a lot of younger people who are married out there that may not have parents that can talk about it a lot, or maybe, they don't want to share the uh-ohs. And I don't really care as long as somebody else is going to benefit from it. I don't want to have to get out here and bare my all if nobody's going to benefit, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think they are. So we're cultivating our daily sweet rituals. He used to get up and make me a pot of coffee and bring me a cup of coffee. That does not happen anymore.
Why is that?
Because I set my coffee pot before I go to bed at night. Because you stopped. Yes, it is. He stopped making my coffee. But you know what? He stopped making my coffee, and I got so upset. I got so stinking upset. And I was like, I cannot believe. And then on Facebook, there was this thing going around about it doesn't matter who makes coffee in the morning, and if you think that he or the other one was supposed to be making the coffee. Anyway, there was this big article on it. And, smack in my face. God just like, back on you. And I was like, I'm a big girl. I can make my own coffee. So I quit being mad at him about it. So, send a sweet text. Y'all, girls love getting a text from their honeys. I'm just saying, you just need to send a sweet text. We're together all the time. It doesn't make sense, but it's sweet.
Can I page you on the phone? Would that work?
Oh, yeah, in the office. You're going to say something? I don't think so. But you know what he did do is I have about 5 sticky notes, and some of them are the big ones and some of them are the little ones, where he left me little notes before I went back to work with him full time. And there was one on the coffee pot, and he spelled it out in candy, which we don't even keep candy in the house anymore. And so I have all these, and you know what, those notes are still in the same area. So the note with the coffee pot's actually just in the cabinet above the coffee pot. So when I reach up there to get my cup or a bowl, I still see the note. And so it means something to me. Now, I could use some new notes, but
it has been a while.
It's been a while. But I love them. And what I used to do, ladies and gents, when I packed lunches for him or the kids, I would put little notes. Well, yeah, and share it later. He can watch it. So you say that now I've lost my step. I did the notes in their lunches, and I didn't think about doing it other times, like putting it in their rooms and stuff. But I did, if I drove the kids to school, I would pray, I'd take their hand and I'd pray over them, and always talked about them, those are being intentionally little things. bringing home flowers. Well, technically, I buy the flowers right now because we're together all the time. So when we go in the store, I'm just like, I want some flowers. And he's like, okay. He comes over there, we buy flowers. So we kind of do that together. But he knows I like fresh flowers. So I'm sure if he was ever without me out there, he would bring me home some sunflowers at some point. So that's our 10. So if you've been tuning in, we've been discussing, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, not too much. You're wrapping up is what you're
I am about to wrap up. And I feel like I take over and I hate that. But then at the same time, I'm having so much fun. Okay. So we're talking about being intentional and you have to be serious about it. You put God first and you pray and then you do these things. You stick with these. These are the 10 biggest things. But every action you take with your spouse needs to be intentional. And I don't mean like, those are the things you need to die down intentionally, right? No?
Yes.
You want more of that?
No.
I don't think so. Okay, so we're talking about being intentional. Go back and watch this video. Share it with your friends. Let them know we're doing this because we're going to be doing this every couple of weeks.
What happens if you're not intentional?
Well, you get a little salty because you stop doing stuff.
Yeah.
So your spouse gets a little salty. Boop. And that's our next topic.
Yeah.
The Dead Sea Marriage.
Yep.
Do you want a Dead Sea marriage? Do you want somebody who's salty all the time? I don't think so. Okay, so that's our next topic. Again, we need to pray because we always pray. You want to pray?
I hadn't even thought about it. I forgot.
Okay, you want me to pray?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to discuss...
Not that I couldn't do it, but I know you got one in your head.
I'm also going to discuss the orphanage in Nigeria again. So if you just started, hang on. Father, I thank you and I praise you. Hold my hand. I praise you and I thank you for what really matters and that you've laid it on our hearts to share. And I just pray, Lord, that there are couples that if they need this, that they hear it, Lord, that this gets shared. I pray for couples to be, for people in any relationships, to be seriously intentional with their actions towards their spouses, Father God. I ask that you show them where they need to make the changes and what they need to do and really step up these men and women of God to fulfill these things that they need to do. Whether it's listening or writing notes or helping around the house, there's always something, Father God. And I just ask that you speak to them. I pray for healing in finances and in health right now over each and every one. And I ask that you keep them protected. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so love you too, Megan. Our church, this is going to go back to the orphanage. Listen to this. We've been doing, my mind just went blank.
What? The ministries?
Yeah.
Missions?
Missions. We've been doing medical missions over there we've made about 18 trips in 15, 16 years. And this time, and we've been to the Philippines, and it's been awesome. I haven't really been over there, but there's other people that go, and I take care of their kids, or I provide food for the families and stuff like that. I want to go this next time. But what we found out this last time and I'm talking really fast because I feel like I'm out of time. There are babies that are being sold for like $50 or $100 because the families can't afford them, or maybe they're just having babies to sell them. We don't know really the whole story, but this is going on, and those kids are being, sold to the, for the sex trade stuff, groomed for that. But some of them are also being bought to be human sacrifices for, demonic rituals and things. And so we're going to build an orphanage to take these babies to try to prevent them from being sold, as many as possible, and put them in an orphanage. And we can't really do everything for all of those kids, but we can at least get started and try to help as many as we can. We need $70,000 in a year. We're going to build 5 homes and pay for people to take care of these kids.
It's going to be on the church's property.
And it's going to be on, we are connected with the church that's over there that's doing this. So I'm going to put our church's website in the comments, thearkfellowship.org. And that way people could go give if they want to. It would be a charity donation. And we've got things that we're selling, t-shirts and different things that we're doing also to raise funds. So if you're interested at all in helping with that, or you have any questions, then message us. If you have a prayer request, message us and let us know. Right. We don't share anything on here about somebody else. We just pray. And after last week's, we had several, I was shocked, we had several people contact us about the boundaries and trespassers.
That's good.
And it made me feel good that they felt comfortable enough with contacting us and asking us for prayer. So anytime you need prayer, please don't hesitate. And I'll even do it over the phone with you, or if you're close enough, I'll just meet in person. So y'all have a terrific evening. Be intentional. Be intentional. Love you guys, and we will talk to y'all next time. And when we talk about the Dead Sea marriage, being salty, don't be salty.
No.
So we'll talk to y'all later.
Unless
Bye-bye.
you're a pretzel.
Unless you're a pretzel.
Bye.
Bye.